And welcome to Living on Purpose with me, Jenny Dean. I first wanted to say thank you guys for all tuning in last week. That means the world to me that you take time out of your busy schedules to listen to me. I really, 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 really appreciate it. This week, we're going to talk about core values. If you asked me about 2010, maybe I would say 4 or 5 years ago, what a core value was or what my specific core values were, I would have no idea what you're talking about. I didn't really spend time with it. I didn't think about it. I was too busy, having babies and just getting through day to day. But now I have actually spent a lot of time researching self-discovery. I went to a Tony Robbins event last summer in Chicago. And it just kind of helped me notice how important it is that we live in alignment with our purpose and what we're supposed to be doing.
Hello, Jenny.
Hi.
I have to stop you there. You went to meet the man. You went on an event that the man was talking. Please tell us more.
Yeah, so it was a Tony Robbins event. He spoke for 4 days. It was a crazy event. His whole thing was to keep you up super late at night. I remember that. One night you had to walk across the fire like at 1 a.m.
What?
Yeah.
Walk across fire?
And his whole reason for doing it that late at night is because he wants you exhausted and to where you don't want to do it. And there was an ambulance
like
there.
anyone would do it normally?
Yeah. It was pretty interesting. And then you're up early. It was really mind-blowing for me. It was an awakening for sure. He taught me that we have to be in control of our lives or your life will control you. And that just kind of sat with me. And his biggest thing that he taught me was like the state that you're in. So if you're having a bad day, he likes to physically move your body. So we danced a lot. He played super loud music. He made you get out of your chair. He kept it 60 degrees in there. I mean, freezing. People had scarves, hats on. Crazy, crazy cold, but he believes in it's just the state of your body. And once you get out physically of what you're in, like if you're in a bad place sitting down, he wants you to physically move, dance, jump, anything you can do, which I truly believe in because it changes your state of mind completely.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you should try that.
Let's next episode you and I go and walk in the fire.
We'll just dance in 60-degree weather. Anyway, it was a great event. I suggest people go to that if they want more self-development. I don't think it was all for me, but I did get a lot of good points out of it. So I'm here today because I don't know if anyone's been through that and actually sat down and listed out their core values. Because I didn't prior to that. I went to a yoga retreat in Aruba this last summer too, and we had to journal and write. And it's really just identifying what is the most important thing to you. And you have to live your life and align with it, or you're going to notice everything's out of whack. And that's where I was a couple years ago. You're just kind of living the rat race, Groundhog Day, and there's really no purpose. And I would just get out of bed, set my alarm, and do it all over again the next day and the next day. And now I really don't. I'm like excited to get up. And I have a ritual, like I shared with y'all prior, my morning routine. I actually look forward to that. So my number one core value that is, of course, God, the relationship I have with God right first thing in the morning. He's my number one priority. If I don't have that little bit of time to like just breathe and just continue to talk to him, then my whole day is out of alignment.
Are you talking about kind of like setting some time to talk, to pray?
I do both. I pray, and I would say it's meditation, maybe. I mean, I'm not quiet. I mean, my brain isn't really quiet during it, but I'm reading those daily meditations that I shared last week, and it just gets me away from thinking all about myself and that there's a higher purpose. So that's my number one core value, because that's as soon as I wake up. And my day is truly off if I don't do that, really. And then my second one I identified as family, of course. I live, eat, and breathe for my children. And I, get them dressed. I do everything for them in the mornings and whatever I can do after school. I want to be as present as I can when I'm with them to, let them know that they're my number one. I care about them the most, and I'm there for them no matter what, whatever they need. And of course, my last one, I'm going to share my top three with you. I have more, but my top three, and my last one's my passion. I was a school teacher before, special education teacher, and I taught all of it. I taught elementary, I taught middle school, and I taught high school. And I will say it was not my passion. It was work for me. It was hard, but I loved the kids, so I stayed in it. I'm a super kid person. But it wasn't like I could live, eat, and breathe it. It was 7 to 4, and I was done. Now I can say I truly dug deep and found what I'm supposed to be doing in my life. And it's a value of mine that I don't ever want to put on the back burner. And I want to just keep excelling and keep leading and keep growing I believe God gives you one purpose in life, and he gives every single person it, and we should be trying to fulfill it, trying to find what we're supposed to be doing, or some type of gratification for him. So I didn't even know any of that until I really dug deep. I read a lot of books. I will say that. I love when people ask me if they're going through something and what kind of books they can get. I have like a whole library at home. And I hope to just grow on that. So please share if you guys know of any good books. Because I do believe there's a book for every problem or everything.
I like that.
Right? Something that we're all going through. I will say Seed of the Soul. There's also a huge podcast. This is Oprah Winfrey's favorite book. I have read this probably 3 times. That's the thing about books. I just go kind of back and forth. I highlight all the stuff, all the important stuff that I get out of it. And then I reread them. I don't know if that's weird or what.
I love that because you really need to. Sometimes something is so deep that you need to go back to it, and you need to remind yourself of that.
And it will hit me another time, and it won't hit me. That another good book I just thought of is The 4 Agreements. We do that in teacher training. Yeah, I teach yoga teachers how to teach yoga, but it's not really just teaching physical yoga. It is more of a self-development. I call it 200 hours of self-counseling. So it is a lot of self-development that I don't think people take enough time out of their day to really get to know themselves. Because if you know yourself and you're super aligned with your values, then all people do is feed off of that. Like I've always read that the person in the room, you can notice the person in the room that lives within their core values and has strong boundaries. So I do want to do a podcast on boundaries because I'm not so good at that.
Boundaries as in setting what's good for you and what's not, or just
not letting in what you're not supposed to taking on other people's problems.
I see.
I teach if I teach 2 classes, I'm seeing about 80 people a day, and that is 80 people's energy I take on, which it's a process of me learning not to take it on. But that's creating boundaries for me personally. I have to know, when to leave it in the studio and all of that. So they say the strongest person in the room is when they're not talking with their hands, because they're super into, they believe with conviction, like what they're saying, and people are just drawn to them. And I believe that, and I want to be that person. I don't think I'm there yet at all. I probably have years of studying about myself, but that is a goal of mine. And so I want to provide you guys with, like, how the heck do you find your values, or whatever, what does that look like? So I provided a core values list, and what Tony Robbins had us do was go through this list, circle what was really stood out for us, like what really, really resonated for us. I circled what made me smile, and there was I would say probably out of that list, 12 of them, 12 or 15 that's really, really resonated with me. And that could be 20, that could be 3 for you. All you're supposed to do is write it down. And then you prioritize. They say to have 3 to 5 of your top ones, and they change with seasons. So if you're going through something, your core value might be totally different. That is totally normal for it to change. Your job is to just be aware of the change and be aware of what value is most important to you. So like I said, mine is God, and then it is family, and then it is my passion. So I gave you guys a list, and then there's some questions that I want you to, the way you identify these, and it doesn't take, like it took me, I would say, a good week to figure this out. It wasn't like, oh, okay, this works with me, because it's something that you have to do daily to be really in purpose and really align with them. Like I wake up and I read God's word, and I take care of my kids, which is my family, and then I teach every day. Every day I'm living out my passion in teaching. So these are things I practice every single day to only help me grow as an individual and live within God's purpose. So some helpful questions that he said for us to ask ourselves is, what really matters to you? Like, I remember thinking, oh, when I grow up, I want to live in a nice house and, have a cute little family and drive a nice car. But now I look back on it and none of that resonates with me. I don't care if I live in a 5,000 square foot house or a 1,300 square foot house, It's not about the size of the house to me. Why do I want it? Like, why do you want to live in the house? Why do you want to drive the Lamborghini? Why do you want to work at a school? So you have to know your why. What makes you come alive? So I can say I live with that. I am lucky enough when I teach, I am for 60 minutes totally engaged with everybody in my class. It's like an outer body experience. I can't explain it. I don't think about myself, which is amazing, for 60 minutes. So it's an act of service for me. And I truly embody what everyone else is feeling. And I hope people get that from my class. It is not just an hour of, okay, let's just do this. It is like an hour of, let me help you. And they help me more than they even know. So that's cool. When you're actually living in line with that, it's really not work. And I truly believe that. And you're supposed to ask yourself, what kind of legacy do you want to leave? Like, what do you want people to say at your funeral?
Oh, I love that.
I know. And that's a tough one.
Because, actions are important, but, your actions are truly what matters the most. At the end of the day,
right,
is how you wanted to live your life, but as well as, do you want to be remembered by that? So that's really
and I
good.
think about that. Like I always, like with these podcasts, I always tell my kids, I'm going to film a podcast today and you're going to watch it one day. Right now, you don't give a damn. You just want to go play on the whatever. But one day, like I think about them and I want them to say, this is what my mommy did. And, she was truly living out her purpose in life. And that should only push them and help them, because that's my only wish for them. Otherwise, I just feel like you are, and I've done it. I did it for, I think, 35 years. I was just living day by day, and that is not how we're supposed to live. And again, to these questions that I just asked you guys, I will also post them, but there's no right or wrong. Like everybody's different. So, what I think most people don't do is spend actual time on these questions and identifying what is most important, because it will prioritize your whole entire day. I know I took my sister this past summer to Aruba on this girl I follow who's an amazing yoga teacher. And she gave us a journal about identifying our values. And I know my sister has never been through yoga training, never done the self-development stuff. She works her butt off. And it was like an eye-opening for her because she was in that rat race. And now I feel like she's living within her purpose, living within her values, but it takes time. It doesn't just come to you. I know that for a fact. Like, you have to dive in and get deeper into these questions. Other than that, there's a really good quote Warren Buffett says. He says the difference between very successful people and highly successful people is highly successful people say no 100% of the time. They have strong core values and powerful boundaries. They do not waver on their decision making. It either aligns with their values or it doesn't. So that is where I'm hoping to get the no part. I have really bad trouble with. I am a yes person, and I know with time I will get to be a no person if it doesn't align with my value, and I'll have that icky feeling, and I've had that a lot. So I have to. I acknowledge it, and I'm aware of it. And I just have to grow from there.
Right, because there's a slight difference between saying no, that's saying yes if, right? It's just, yes. One is about the purpose. Is there a purpose in this? And are you aligning your purpose to this new challenge versus just saying yes for the sake of it and kind of like diverting yourself from your path?
Right. And I will say I'm there right now. I say a lot of yeses to a lot of things that should not, are just kind of a waste of time. And I'm finally getting on a path where I feel capable of saying no, and people will still respect me, I guess.
That's a whole podcast, I feel like. Right? Kind of like moving and still getting that place where you are, where you still feel like you are doing your purpose, yet you're keeping those boundaries where they should be, so you can
and there's a book for that. It's called Boundaries, and it's a good one. I think I have that highlighted everywhere, and I will do a podcast on that, because that is one that I feel like everyone needs, you know? And that is all I have. I have brought some books. I told you guys about Seed of the Soul. I love anything John Maxwell. I listen to his podcast all the time. And then I do have a book called The One Thing, which has really helped me out because I feel like I could get into a lot of different things, just because I enjoy a lot of different things, but it is helpful to focus on one thing and like really get good at that. Like that whole thing with 10,000 hours of practice of something. I teach handstand workshops, and I'm like 10,000 hours practice, and it's the damn truth. Like the more you do it, the more you're going to get good at it. And I don't know how many times I say that in class, but that is the truth with everything else, you know. So, and next week, you guys, I'm going to be coming in here, and I've had a lot of questions on nutrition, and I would love to help you guys out on that. I will talk about my staples in my diet and I guess my discipline. I kind of think everyone eats like I do, but I know they don't. And I want to give you guys some tips for holidays, because there's a lot of dinners we have to go to and parties we have to go to, and everyone wants to stay on track. So I will give you guys some tips for that. So I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Have a good day.